Let's start with something fun. Dogs. I click here on a random dog, and each time a new picture shows up. Behind the scene, this is not magic. Every click sends an API request to the server, and the server responds with the URL of a dog image. Our goal in this lesson is to find those requests in the network tab and learn how to read them step by step. It may look simple, but this is exactly the point where UI meets API. Alright, let's begin. First, open the browser developer tool, press F12, or right click on the page and choose Inspect. Then, go to the Network tab to make sure we don't lose any request when we refresh. Enable the preserve log. Next, check disable cache. This guarantees that every request really goes to the server instead of being served from the browser's memory. And finally, click on fetch/xhr to filter out all the noise. Now, we are looking only on the real API calls. Now that we have a real request on the screen, look at the part called request URL. This is the exact address the browser sent to the server. In our case, image/random. So every click actually triggers a call to this endpoint. Another key detail is status code. Here is 200, meaning everything worked fine. But it's not always like that. In real project, you often see codes from the 4 or 5 series. For example, 404 means the address does not exist, and 500 means there is a server error. Pay attention here. These are great hints when something goes wrong. Headers are section people sometimes skip. But here's a small tip. It was take a look. Think of it like an envelope of the package. It doesn't contain the content. But if something on the envelope is wrong, the whole package might get stuck on the way or even end up in the wrong destination. In the general section, you can see where the request actually went. Notice the remote address. Sometimes it shows the IP and the port. The port tells you which service on the server handled the request. This helps when multiple services run side by side. Before we dive into the headers, let's notice something simple but very important. The request method. Here it says get. That means we're only asking for data, not sending anything. If it were post, put, or delete, the meaning would be completely different. So always check the method first. Now, let's look at the request headers. Out of all the headers you will see, only a few are really critical most of the time. User agent tells the server which browser or a tool is making the call. This helps when you need to reproduce bugs across different environments. Notice the difference between request types. In the post request, we usually see content type header. That's because we're sending data, and the server needs to know which format we are sending it. For example, JSON. But in our case, it's a GET request. We are not sending data, only asking for it. That's why instead of content type, we see accept, which tells the server what format we expect back. Here, it's application JSON, meaning we want the response in JSON. Authorization is your entry ticket. Without it, or if it's expired, the server rejects the request. In our dog example, there is no login, so you won't see this header. That's expected. Cookie keeps a session alive, so you don't have to log in every time. On public API, you may see no cookie or just a small technical one. And exactly like in our case, the cookie here is only for statistics. Now that 20% that matters, 80% of the time, response headers. The server's notes about the response. The most important one here is the content type. In our case, it's application JSON. That simply tells us the format of the data. Think of it as a key value structure. If the response is not too complex, it's actually quite easy to read. Another header is cache control. Here we see value like no cache or private. This tells the browser how to handle the response. No cache means browser should always check with the server before using the cache version. Private means the response is intended only for a single user, not to be shared with the proxies. The value for us is clear. It's about performance and freshness. When to reuse data and when to fetch again. Access control allow origin define which website are allowed to use this API. In our case, no restriction. If you want to go deeper and build real automation skills step by step, all my courses are linked in the description.